So, hello everyone. Again, my name's Bob Turner. I'm the Section Emergency Coordinator for the Orange section of Amateur Radio Emergency Services. So that covers Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Inyo counties. And what I want to talk to you about a little bit is, and you'll be hearing this subject all day, is emergency communications. Okay? But I'm going to be focusing on cells, CBs, and hams. How many of you are ham radio operators? Okay, some of you. Actually, most of you. How many of you have cell phones? Aren't those things great? And they're wonderful for everything right up until the moment you actually need the darn thing, and it doesn't work. Cell phone towers are only designed to support like 60% of the traffic. When there's even a little earthquake, what's the first thing people do? They grab their phone, call up somebody and say, hey, did you feel that? Well, when they do that, they crash the system. Happened a few years ago. There was a little quake, 3-point something or other, in Whittier in the middle of the day in July a few years ago. Dropped communications for a couple hours. Why? Because everybody was on the cell phone saying, hey, did you feel that? And it crashed the system. Nothing was wrong with the infrastructure, it just didn't work. It couldn't handle the load. When that happens, oftentimes text messages will still get through. Okay? So if you have text capability, go ahead and text, I'm okay, and by the way, did you feel that? And if you have those push-to-talk Nextel phones, a lot of times those still work too, because they're not in with the main frequencies that people talk on. You get a hold of somebody, try to use your push-to-talk or text someone. Okay? Good stuff. Do you know where 911 calls go from a cell phone when you call 911? Pardon me?
Sacramento CHP.
Yeah, they go to the CHP. CHP has absolutely no idea where Industry and Garrison is. Okay? Make darn sure you know where you're at. Now, that sounds kind of silly, but try pulling off the side of the freeway someday, getting out and looking around. Where are you? Well, I'm on the freeway. That doesn't narrow it down. Make darn sure you know where you're at. That sounds spoofy, but in an emergency, that's critical.
Can they track your GPS from a cell phone if you have one built in?
Well, most of the newer cell phones have GPS in them. Some of the older phones don't. Okay, right. So don't rely on that.
And figure out where you're calling from.
And they should be able to triangulate from the different cells.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Within 1,000 feet when they triangulate.
Okay.
1,000 feet is
no better.
Yeah. When you're lost, 1,000 feet is, might as well be 1,000,000 miles. That's huge. So make darn sure you know where you're at. Now, like I said, in a disaster, when the ground shakes, everybody gets on the cell phone, or the cell sites drop because of damage. What are you going to do then? How are you going to communicate with anybody? Anybody have any ideas?
Smoke signals.
Smoke signals. That might work.
Right up in Campo. I'd suggest against it.
This man close to Camp Pendleton, I think it's going to be someplace.
Yeah, it's just those guys again. Those crazy Marines. CB radio. A lot of people scoff at the idea of talking on CB. It's, I don't want to do that anymore. That's the 70s. We don't need to do that anymore. Well, some communication is far better than no communication. Right? And CBs are actually pretty useful. I have a CB in my car. I have one at home. And it's operational. Because when something happens, who uses the CBs the most? Truckers. Who's on the road the most? Truckers. Who knows about what's happening out there as far as the bridges and the traffic and what's really happening? The truckers. Because they're out there. Who's the guy that I want to talk to? It's the trucker. I want to find out, are the bridges down? Is traffic still moving? Okay? Truckers are great sources of information. So if you don't have a CB radio, real easy to use, go ahead and get yourself one. Run down to Radio Shack and buy it off eBay for a couple of bucks. Actually, I think there's a guy on the other side that has one for $1 he's selling. I almost bought it too. It was so cool. But CBs are very useful tools. Don't scoff at the idea of the CB radio. Some people run out and buy those FRS radios, which are great. They're very useful tools also. It's a family radio system, you know, you can get them down at Walmart or whatever, they come in a package of 2. They're really nice because you can pretty much custom make your own frequency, you know, you can pick a channel and pick a private tone for yourself, and that's the good thing about it, and that's the bad thing about it. Because if you have one and that's all you have, you're going to take quite a while to go through all those different combinations trying to find someone to talk to. Okay? Excuse me. CB radio is far more useful for that, for just instant communication. Get one, put it in your trunk of your car. Okay, they still sell those will go around. Yes, sir.
You still use channel 19?
I've heard them on 19, yeah. But now a lot of the truckers are also using ham radio. Okay. Now, of course, ham radio is by far the best application there is as far as emergency communications. There's lots of different frequencies that you can use, lots of different modes, lots of different sizes of radios. They come in a wide variety of shapes, sizes, and colors. And if you just go around here, you'll see all sorts of things. Gordon West down there has a van full of stuff. eBay's a wonderful thing. I got this off of eBay for like 40 bucks. Okay?
It's a ham radio?
It's a ham radio. And I thought it was kind of cute and I just bought it, but it's one of the best radios I have.
What is it?
It's a Baofeng. It's something from China. Yeah. Not too durable. I wouldn't drop it. But the guy over there with the Kinwad, he was throwing his radios up in the air. It's the way for to communicate in an emergency. There's lots of different groups that uses ham radio. Besides the truckers, okay, there's ARES, Amateur Radio Emergency Services. That's the field organization for the American Radio Relay League. There's RACES, which is, someone help me here, Radio Amateur Civil Emergency Services. I get that right? Okay. There's also Saturn. That's the Salvation Army Team Emergency Radio Network. Great bunch of guys. They have a huge worldwide network. And there's lots of different other organizations that use amateur radio. They can plug into, or some of the things we plug into, or rather support, are cities, counties. We support hospitals, CERT teams, homeowner associations. Okay, we got the lone wolf ham operator that's sitting at home with his antenna up in the air, and that's a great resource because we need to know what's happening in that neighborhood. Okay, no one else really does that. The Salvation Army, they support the Salvation Army. The RACES, they're designated to support government functions as far as cities and counties. ARES, we fill in the gaps, okay? We get down to the guy on the street, the last mile. We need to know what's happening on the street, and we're the only ones that do that, okay? Now, we work closely with the RACES folks and the Saturn folks and all the others, but we're the ones that embed with CERT teams and the homeowners associations. That's what we do. So get yourself a ham radio. It's reasonably inexpensive. Take the test. It's a 35-question test. Just looking around for Steve. He's around here somewhere. I think he's actually giving tests today. So you can get your ham radio ticket today. And buy yourself a radio. You know, a lot of people ask me, what kind of radio should I get? Well, how much money you got? Because you can spend 40 bucks up to as much money as you got. We just love to buy radios. There was one day a package came to my house, and my wife, as she handed it to me, says, "Stop buying radios." It's a thing, okay? But amateur radio is the best way for communicate in an emergency. It's very versatile. It's a great hobby. It's fun to use. There's also applications for smartphones. You can use your smartphone as an amateur radio. It's called Echolink. You can do that. But if you don't want to spend the money, you don't want to take the test, just don't feel comfortable doing that, run out and buy yourself a CB radio. Some communication is far better than no communication. Trust me on that one. Okay? Questions, comments, speeches? Sir?
Something about Echolink. Is there a fee to use that?
Echolink.
Echolink.
No, it's a free download. It's an app. There's an app for that.
So it's only for smartphones.
Yes. Well, you can get it for your computer also. So you can sit at home with your notebook or your desktop computer and talk to the world on your computer.
Is that basically listen to ham radio, or is it
You can communicate. It's a transceiver.
both ways?
Yeah, both ways.